The 18th chapter. As you know, Lord Deicide is more amicable than many nobles, but there is still something he wants from us all. And if he were to ask us to our faces, we would be thrown into a murderous rage, screaming for his dethroning. So he abides the Constance principle, the ancient social contract between master and slave, ensuring he will never be overthrown by his servants. Thessalian the Elder. It had been months since the Yolopile had dropped Fawn on a mining planet, in territory allied to the Widow's retort. She had recovered her gear, and nearly made it to a work camp when she was stopped by a gash in reality. It was then she was greeted by the curly-headed captain of the Nazareth, Deicide the World Eater. Fawn quickly discovered that she, like many of the higher-ranking officers and engineers, had been colleagues of Deicide. Deicide and her sisters, Genocide and Vivicide, had, as she described it, been childhood playmates of the infamous God Eater. She spoke about Deicide as if he was some tiny pet of hers, often referring to him by some diminutive name. But beneath it all, Fawn could sense a hatred in the woman that would be thought of as unhealthy if publicly known. Her sisters had no problem displaying their hate, and refused to even mention his name at times. The Nazareth's mission was to stop Deicide from piercing the wall which housed the existence. Deicide had confided in Fawn that Deicide's goal was not really to save anyone, but to find the Demiurge and use his seal and his power to open the corridor. It was one of the main reasons she had decided to split from the crew of the Yolopile. She explained that the Yolopile was a machine designed not only to power the new worlds created on the other side of the corridor, but Deicide in the abyss as well. Fawn was not pleased to be right about Deicide, that he was nothing more than a delusional man using the backs and blood of others to fuel his insanity. Fawn's time on board the Nazareth had been pleasant enough. Her Aunt Kari and many of the members of her squad had found their way on board some time earlier, but she still wished her brother could be with her. She still could not understand the choice he made that day, but she had allowed herself to forgive him, and let the anger seep onto her impression of Deicide. Though the noble had spared her, what sort of choice had he given her? The Yolopile was probably scheduled to chew up the planet any day after they dropped her off. Still, she adjusted quickly to the tempo, and began some of the indoctrination courses, but she was apprehensive about opposing Deicide in combat. She had seen the damage him and his monster could do by themselves, let alone the entire deathless array, and she had no knowledge of the shipboard weapons of the Yolopile. The fear she had of the future hurled at her by Deicide was so real that it may as well have been branded on her flesh. The crew spoke of Deicide and his army so dismissively that Fawn began to wonder if they were as delusional as he was. Presently, Fawn was curled in a chair in her aunt's quarters. The room was considerably smaller than her room on board the Yolopile. She had found out that the Nazareth did not use pillaged resources or forced labor to power her engineering plant. The Nazareth was funded and built by survivors of the Yolopile's attacks. They traveled throughout the existence to warn civilizations of the impending doom of Deicide and the Deathless. Many aided them, once they had seen evidence of the carnage they were in for. "Fawn, you have to fight. We all have to do our part," Carrie said. The older woman held a look of disbelief. Fawn thought there was little she could say to convince the woman that she had no desire to fight. Fawn had never backed down from anyone, but she had seen what Deicide expected of his enemies, and that alone made her wary of warring with him. "I want to, but this isn't just some noble," Fawn said. "Guns don't hurt him. Nothing hurts him, especially with that thing watching him." "Yes, I've seen some of the footage. They explained it was some kind of force field," Carrie said. "It's not a force field. It's fucking alive. It acts on its own," Fawn said. "But they're working on things which can nullify it," Carrie said. Fawn shrugged. "Maybe," she said. "We can do this. What choice do we have? You know they've taken Albaro," Carrie said. "Fuck," Fawn said. Carrie nodded. "Like it was never there," she said. "It's not just that," Fawn said. "Then what?" Carrie said. "He spared me," Fawn said. "That's awful nice of him, but you don't know him shit," Carrie said. "I know. He was just so sure," Fawn said. "Of what?" Carrie said. "That he'd kill me." How the hell can he know something like that? Carrie said. I don't know. I don't know why I even listened to him, Fawn said. You said Alpha's still there. Yeah. I can't forget that look on his face, Fawn said. Like it was the only place he'd ever known. I'm sure he has his reasons, Carrie said. And what could they possibly be? We're his family, Fawn said. Alpha needs you. This crew needs you. They said someone like you can take on thousands of Deathless with the right equipment, Carrie said. Fawn nodded, though she could not believe it. But then she remembered her scrape with baby sister, both of them without skids. She was of Deicide's blood. Perhaps he could be beaten if they somehow stopped the abyss. Fawn stood, and then slipped out into the officers' plaza. The Nazareth was a large ship, but almost claustrophobic when compared to the Yolopile. She shoved her fists into her pockets as she hopped from the stairs, and as she stepped onto a moving walkway, she saw a dark-haired man heading in the opposite direction. With no more than a glance, she looked away at some feature in the overhead. As she passed him, she looked back to see he was still eyeing her, smiling. He gave her a small wave, and then stepped off. She had seen him before, guessing he was a junior officer by the look of his age. She was disappointed that he never came to talk to her. Her entire time on the Yolopile, not a single man had approached her. She had laughed when Alpha had explained a few of the rules of courtship. Signals had to be so clear you may as well have been waving a burning flag at a potential mate. Odd that a ship that condoned dueling had such strict laws against sexual harassment. Fawn strolled through the barracks until she made her way to her room. The door slid open to reveal Fletchett, performing maintenance on her new EP rifle, the Penny Red, a modification of the model Fawn's parents had designed. Letchway was spilled over the couch in the common area. She did not look pleased. Her purple hair was in rollers, and she was flipping through channels on their wall display. She looked back at Fawn with a raised eyebrow as she crossed the room. What? Fawn said. Did you talk to your aunt? Letchway said. Yeah? Fawn said. This place is shit. You know active soldiers and their support team get like actual condos? Big as hell. Not sharing this box with 5 other people. 6 people. 1 shitter. It's like I'm back in the army all over again, Letchway said. Man, you got soft quick, Fawn said. It's not about soft. I just know what I deserve. We put ordnance on target. That's our trade. Why ain't we doing that? Oh, the biggest heathen I know up and found the Lord, Letchway said, waving her hands in the air. Laughing from the other bedrooms was heard. Even Fletchett grinned a bit. It's not that, Fawn said. Have you finally blinked in the face of death, Fauna? Fletchett said, placing the pieces of her rifle down neatly on a clean towel. No, I still got the fire, Fawn said. Then use it. They're classing up next week, Letchway said. I'll check it out, Fawn said, wondering if she sounded convincing enough. Now that that's settled, get your ass in the shower. We're going out, Letchway said. A few hours later, they were inside their 3rd club of the night. All were close to being drunk, except Fletchett, who seemed to remain eerily sober no matter what was put into her tiny body. Letchway and Fletchett piled into a booth with 2 men they met earlier while Fawn went to the bar for drinks. Cheerfully aggressive, she pushed her way through the crowd. She swung her pink hair back and forth as a hard beat thumped against her body. She threw back the rest of her drink and slammed it down on the bar. They had made her order and rested her chin on her knuckles as she watched the bartender perform what she thought was magic. As he twirled the glasses and bottles in front of her, she caught the sight of the dark stranger she had passed on many occasions during her time here. She obnoxiously waved to him and screamed, Hey! Hey, fucker! Will you get him? Fawn said to a group of strangers. As soon as he looked her way, she instantly felt self-conscious, but the alcohol made her toss it aside and waved him in. He approached her, as if he was being recorded by a film crew. Fawn scrunched her nose when he arrived next to her. The fuck was that? Fawn said. Walking? He said. Like you were gliding or something, Fawn said. Ma'am, the bartender said. Huh? Oh. Fawn reached for her purse. It's cool, he said. Fawn watched as the man nodded to the bartender. Hope these are for your friends, he said. Yeah, Fawn said, scooping up the drinks. She led him back to the table Letchway and Fletchett were at, talking over her shoulder. They were surprised at what Fawn had brought back. Their date straightened as soon as they saw the man, and they avoided eye contact. "Where'd you get him?" Letchway said. "They're handing him out at the bar," Fawn said, laughing a little too loudly, even with the blasting music. "So what's your name?" Fawn said. "Second Cerulean," Second said.